This box right here is a box full of my old artwork. I went to my storage this weekend and I saw this box and I thought maybe it'd be a good idea to share it with you guys so that you guys can realize I wasn't always as good as I am right now. And if you thought I was, you're in for a big surprise. Let's go. Okay, people, you're about to see the worst art you've ever seen in your life. Okay, just kidding. Okay, so I pulled out like the best stuff right here, and well, not the best stuff. I would say the most poignant stuff to kind of gauge my progression. So we're gonna start with this, right? We're gonna start with, I think, the earliest artwork that I have from back in the day, or the earliest artwork I can get my hands on is this comic book that I did with a friend of mine who was like my best friend at the time in junior high, what you guys call middle school. It was called, what was this called? I don't even remember what the name of the comic book was called, but it was about a ninja, or two ninjas actually. My friend and I, we were the main characters. This is me. Let me get zoom close on that. This is me. I'm on a plane going to China, and I'm walking by a bank, and the bank is being robbed by the main antagonist, which is called, his name is Triple Axe, and I'm going after Triple Axe because he's my lifelong, not my lifelong, but he's my arch enemy because he killed my master. And and in a flashback scene right here, my master's telling me that it was Triple Axe of the Silver Mist Ninja Clan that killed him. And so I turn into a ninja. I'm like on the top of the building, hey, Triple Axe, and the bank, of course, the bank is written bank at the side, but it's made up Chinese or Japanese on the top. I don't know. So this is me in my ninja gear. Man, look at this. See, do you see how basic this is? This I was. Let me see. I was in junior high, in middle school. So if I can remember this correctly, I must have been like 15 years old. 15 years old, and if you're 15 years old, and this is my friend's his name is Cian. He took over at this part. This is his artwork. But if you're 15 years old and your artwork is better than this, or even if you're younger than 15 years old, your artwork is better than this, then fear not, you'll be even better than me one day. This is back to my stuff. Look at this, this is crazy, man. And back then, I thought this was like the best thing ever, man. I was ready for Marvel with this. Look at this, man. The writing was good, though. The writing was good, but yeah. That was like my first comic. This is basically 8.5 by 11 paper that we stapled together in the middle. And then we would go back and forth giving each other the comic. There were a couple issues of this, but I don't know, I think they got lost, and I think Cian took some. But yeah, man, that's crazy. Put that over there. Alright, here's another one. Okay, this I got inspired by the show. Actually, I didn't get inspired. This was totally from the show Beauty and the Beast. I don't know if you guys remember this show from back in the 80s, Beauty and the Beast, but I used to enjoy that show so much. And so one day I just was watching it, and as I was watching it, I started penciling this scene where the main character, Vincent, is sitting at a table reading a book with some candles. The scene wasn't in the scene wasn't in the show or anything. It just for me, it just kind of illustrated, you know, what Vincent was about. His calm demeanor, but every time his love was in trouble, he would just go off into this rage and just go somewhere because he could feel her presence, whatever. Whenever she was in trouble, and he would always go rescue her. But yeah, this was, let me see, a lot of cross-hatching. I was at the cross-hatching back then, so you can see all the different cross-hatching that I did. Wow, this is crazy cross-hatching. But yeah, I enjoyed doing this because I really did like the show. So this is me, and now this was in my melancholy teenage years when I thought that the whole world was on my shoulders and I was always looking towards the horizon, like, you know, spiritually, whatever. So this is me sitting on the rocks near a beach with, and of course this was all made up with whoever my love was supposed to be. She was supposed to be by my side, whoever it is, that was her. And I guess in my mind, she would look like that, and have a body like that, and have hair like that. And we would always be together, chilling, watching the sunrise. Or the sunset, either way. Right? Let me see, right here is a character design. I can't remember what I was designing this character for, right here. But this was supposed to be, I know it was for a comic book I was working on, but I can't remember exactly what the character design was for. And you know what, I think this might have been for Samurai Guard, I'm not sure. And this is the top part of the character design. This is the character's leg design. So, and this is actually it's a panel from a comic book that, like my first comic book, which was The Power Reflex. I never got a chance to publish that book. I drew a ton of issues. I drew like 3 issues, fully drawn issues, and I had so much trouble like publishing that I just had to let it go because at some point I had this epiphany, and then I just started on Samurai Guard. And once I started on Samurai Guard, my drawing ability and the story and everything was so good, I decided to just abandon this, which was called The Power Reflex, and just go with Samurai Guard, which turned out to be a really good idea. But this is the main character's sister. She was a cop, so on and so forth. And speaking of The Power Reflex, this is designed for the main character of The Power Reflex. He's called the Reflex. Flex, like the song. And this is what he basically looked like. His power was, this was his first design. This was like the first initial design for him. I don't think the design ended up being this way, like the finished design. I think I got it here somewhere, but I don't think the finished design ended up being this way. This was the first design, and he was called a Reflex because, you know, his eyes was covered at this point. Like, he was supposed to be a blind swordsman, right? And his ability to react on reflex was how he was able to survive in battle, being blind. So, but I like this design though. I might do something with it. Okay, now this is the remnants or the shadow of realism. I mean, this was way back in the day. I think this was like my first attempt at realism. This is B.B. King. He's a guitarist, a blues guitarist. And he was featured in a magazine. I can't remember the name of the magazine, but get that. This is, wow, this has been there forever. This is like Needed Eraser. It's been there for like 20 years. So, right, so he was featured in a magazine, and he, his picture and stuff was in the magazine, and they did an interview with him and things like that. And so one day I was watching TV, and I had my drawing pad out, and I decided to just draw this just use one color or another color with some color pencils that I'd had, and it came out looking pretty good. So, I mean, pretty good for, you know, like, I must have been like 17 or 18 at this point. And I had an affinity for, I guess, realism. I mean, by this, I had an affinity for realism, but I never really got it. Okay, here's a big news that you guys are gonna like be like, what? But I never really started doing the realism that you see on my channel. I never really started doing that until I started my channel, which was about 2.5 years ago. So my first realistic drawing was like, this Bruce Lee, because this Bruce Lee drawing, and I did that so that I was able to like be sure that I was able to do realism on my channel. So after I did the Bruce Lee drawing, I got enough confidence, and then my first recorded realistic drawing doing realism or with hyperrealism was the Michael Jackson drawing, and from then gradually moving on. So yeah, guys, you never know. I think that's my superpower. I'm able to assimilate an art style very quickly based on just, you know, doing it a few times. So yeah, but I guess I had an affinity for it because I was like 17 when I did this, and this, you know, for a 17-year-old, I don't think this is too bad. Okay, here is again. Now this was in college. I was still like 18 years old, something like that. No, I was 18 years old, and I had this thing where like all my most badass characters were structured after me. So this was supposed to be me. This is what I looked like in college. I wore the mask to school and everything. I'm kidding. I never wore a mask to school, but this was supposed to be basically a guy who was into, you know, martial arts, and he was a hero. Again, I always did just designs for heroes, not really doing anything with them. It was always the idea that I would create this really cool hero, and thank you for some of this light here. This really cool hero, and then I would just sell him to like Marvel or something. But I don't know. Oh, his name was Silhouette. That's what it was. He had the ability to become a shadow. So there. And this is actually, this is the first page of the power reflex. The character I just showed you with the reflex, right? This was the character right here. And this is him before he got his powers. I had one of those die-cast metal cars that they're about this big, and it was a 52 Chevy, and so I used that for his car because I figured, well, I have the car there, I can use it for reference. So, but the main character was, in my mind, I don't know but he was gonna be the first biracial character ever, you know. So he was half black, half white. And, you know, I was gonna introduce him as the first biracial character. I'm not sure if he was back then, but I think maybe he was, but not anymore. Alright, this is a character right here that I designed. I called her Jelly Bean. She was actually one of the antagonists for the Power Reflex character, so. But she was supposed to be kind of like, she was supposed to be what Harley Quinn is now. And kind of like some psycho badass, right? But you know, with Harley Quinn coming out and stuff like that, you know. But yeah, she was supposed to be what Harley Quinn is. Just a crazy woman who doesn't know she's crazy, but she's like psycho and she could like snap and stuff. But she was a bad guy. And this is my first attempt at, oil pastels. And I did this around the same time I did the BB King drawing. And this came from a magazine, a muscle magazine. I was into the muscle or fitness magazines back then. So I saw this this guy. His name was Rich Gaspari. He's a bodybuilder back then. He was supposed to be like the next big thing, and for some reason he just, I don't know, disappeared off the face of the earth. I think he has a look at it. This is coming up. This is I actually did this matting myself too. Look at that. Came off. But yeah, this is Rich Gaspari's torso, if I remember correctly. I figured it would be very easy to do that because, you know, it was just basically sections, and I could just use the sections and then use gradual transitions from shadows to highlights without having to, you know, do anything too complex. And so it worked out really well. But yeah, this was with oil pastels. I had one of those kits that my mom had bought me. One of those kits that had the color pencils, oil pastels, watercolor, and it was like a suitcase, and you open up and they were all there, like ready there for you to use. So I used that kit to do the BB King, and also the oil pastels from that to do this. And I had that kit for a long time. I just didn't know what to do with it, and I was like, let me just try this stuff. And basically this is all oil pastels and my finger, just smudging the stuff. So alright, this is a wash. This is my first ink wash. Again, this was back when I was like 18 years old. So basically this is just ink and water. You know, everybody knows how a wash is done. If you don't, the wash is you pencil out a drawing, you pencil out a sketch or whatever, and then you just, like if you use a watercolor, you color it with the ink using different grades of different tones and stuff like that. Highlights. For the highlights here, I just use the paper. And this is my Speedster. I don't know what he was called. I think this was a drawing I just did just to do. But there was really no real reason behind this drawing. I just wanted to just do a guy running and see what it would look like, and it came out looking like this, and I didn't know what to do with it, so I just kept it. Okay, now this is even before I went to college. This is Victoria Principal. I don't know if you guys know her, but she's an old, she's not old, she's from an old show called Dallas, and she was like one of the main characters on Dallas. And back then, Victoria Principal was just like the hottest thing on television. And I think this particular picture came from an issue of TV Guide. Does anyone remember TV Guide? Anyway, if you don't remember TV Guide, basically it was a book that came to your house every week, and it let you know what was going to be on TV. So I was totally in love with Victoria Principal, so I decided to draw her one day. And again, this is just kind of like foreshadowing, because I was I guess getting into realism and appreciation for realism without even realizing. So kept that. Okay, now this is another design for, this is one of the characters from the Power Reflex. This is actually the character who gives the main character his powers, because he has the same powers. The story is he has the same powers. He ends up dying, transfers the powers to the main character, whose name is Sean Mason. I named him Sean after my brother. So, yep. And this is, let's scroll this back a little bit. This is Stiletto, and he is a character. He was like the the Team Bruiser for a comic book that I was working on right now. My own creation, of course, called Jackknife, and his name was Stiletto, and he was basically like strongest character, but also the one with the most attitude. And he didn't really speak very much. He was just very powerful, Team Bruiser, low key but powerful. And this guy was the leader of Jackknife, and his name was Ion, and he had the ability. I did research on their powers too. His name was Ion. He had the ability to charge his fist with, which was charged with positive ions, and his eyes would charge his fist with negative ions, and they would create this power blast. So that's how he was able to use his powers. He'd be able to charge his fist with his eyes. That's crazy, right? Now this is something that I did in college, and it's getting closer on this. So you can see that there's just a ton of problems with this, because the cross hatching is all over the place, right? And it was basically a situation. It was a scene that I had to do for my life drawing class, and my life drawing professor loved this drawing. I don't know why, because maybe he thought he saw the fact that I was really challenging myself. But there's the cigarette butt right here. It tells a story. I like to tell stories to my pictures. Cigarette butt right here. A guy comes in. This is Wild West type stuff. Challenger comes in the door. You can't really see who he is. This guy who's back, is to us. He's obviously the interest of whoever's coming in, and there's a gunfight about to happen. And this guy is scared because he doesn't want to get hit by a bullet. But a few things that I didn't really think about right here is that I don't think they had ice in the drinks back then. And this guy is having a drink with ice in it, as you can tell. And you never know you don't know why they're about to fight, or who is gonna win the fight. Is it him? Is it him? But there is definitely a situation here that is gonna end up with somebody getting killed. And I think that my professor really enjoyed the story behind it, because within one picture there's a lot going on, and that's something that even back in the day I loved to do. And I guess that's why I eventually became a comic book artist, because even in one picture I always liked there to be a story being told. Here's some more jelly bean. This was my attempt at seeing how realistic I can get jelly bean to look. And this wasn't even watercolor. I think this was gouache I did this with. Right here. And again, her being a little bit of a psycho. She's toting 2 guns. So we can scroll that up there. Yeah, this was actually not bad. It's a few years ago though. And this is what the final costume for the Power Reflex ended up looking like. Basically, it was he ended up having a mask as well, but he basically ended up looking like this, where it was partially part of the character who gave him the power, like partially his uniform, which was like the arm right there, and then when he turned into this Power Reflex, he had this like really cool costume with different colors and stuff like that. But he still had these really wicked boots. So that's what he ended up looking like. Okay. There's a huge story behind this. Let me see if I can get the light out of there for a second. Maybe, yeah, there we go. Maybe that will be better. Okay, so with this picture here, is that even better? Oh, that's better. Is that better? Okay, that, trying to get a good light up. You know what? I think that the reflection of the plastic was the problem here. That's better. Okay, so with this particular picture, I'm gonna zoom in, and this is with a vampire who, of course, did some damage. It's a female vampire. Now, again, a thing with me, like I said before, and I seem to keep repeating, but I like to tell stories in the picture, so that when you look at it, there's a story being told, and you can just kind of like read the story from the picture. And there's definitely there's a vampire or vampiress. I don't know what you call female vampires, but she just had her way with every guy in a bar, and by her way I mean she killed them all. And now she's like satisfied, she's wiping her mouth, but she's leaning up against a mirror, right? And in the mirror, you see all the damage that she did. And even in the mirror, there's another mirror right here. I was crazy. There's another mirror showing the bar and all the beer on the bar down there. But she's up against a mirror, and the mirror kind of is reflecting what the damage that she did in the bar, which is pretty cool. Now, I took certain liberties with this because I said because yes, she's a vampire, but the only way for this mirror effect to be effective was to allow her reflection to be shown. So if you look closer here, let me see that. Look closer, you'll see that even if she's up against the mirror, she has a reflection. That's her legs, her arms, back of her head, so on and so forth. So she has a reflection. And we all know vampires don't cast reflections, yes? Okay, right, we all know that. But it was essential to get the effect, so I kind of ran with the fact that you'll just have to let me have that for a second. Let me have the fact that she is casting a reflection in the mirror, just so I can pull off the effect. And thank you for letting me have that. Okay. This was one of the covers for my comic book Samurai Guard. Now this wasn't one of the covers. This was an ad. Actually, this was an ad for the Samurai Guard comic book. This is Hachiman, the god of war, and these are the main characters. Well, this is the main characters. This is Raiden. This is the other three main characters, but this is the main character right here. Miyamoto Shindaro. Okay, and here is this is actually, pull that back a little bit. This is actually the character of another comic book company. They wanted me to draw the character. They asked me to draw the character, and so that they can color it. And I did put this character in my comic book. Not in the comic, it was a pinup, but this character is really cool. But here's the pencils of what the character looked like basically before I inked it. So this is what you have when I did the pencils. I made a photocopy of the pencils. His name was Gaston, by the way. And then you have the inked version. So this is the original version right here. And this is the one that I sent to them. So which one do you like? Which one do you like better? Do you like it inked or do you like it pencil? Because some people have their way, their feeling about inking. And although sometimes the inking clears up and kind of lose a lot of the kinetic energy of the drawing with the inking, it is necessary to have inking for comic books because it has to be printable. And printable means it has to be clean, and to get it clean, you gotta ink it. Okay, this is one of my pinups I did, which is the drawing of a samurai. It's kind of sitting by a tree, by the lake or the ocean. This was also inked by a friend of mine named Scott Bell. I did the pencils, but he did the inks. Okay, so I'm going to show you this first. I'm going to show what it was done for. This was for an ad in the comic shop news. Now, back in the day, the comic shop news was this mini newspaper that all the comic shops got. And it always had all these, DC, Marvel, whatever, all the popular comic book companies always had the cover and stuff. So I basically just kind of like called up the guy and said, like, I'd like to promote promote my independent comic book in comic shops news, and I was wondering if I can have a cover. And believe it or not, I did some promotions with them and stuff like that, and they gave me the cover of the comic shop news, which was like the craziest thing that has happened to me in my comic books. Like, I couldn't even believe that I had the cover, and this was a big deal. Okay, because after I went to conventions, everybody was like, dude, how did you get the cover at the comic shop news? How did you get the cover? All the other creators were like, how did you get the cover of the comic shop news? I'm like, how else? I just asked. It's a big mystery to everybody that just out of nowhere, a small independent comic book company got the cover of the comic shop news. Issue number 755. So yeah, and that's what this particular drawing was for, just to promote that cover. Or just for that cover. See that? Samurai Guard. Man, I think I went to the comic shop and just bought, like, I didn't buy because I think they were free. I think they give them away when people purchase comic books. But I asked the guy if I can buy like 20 of them, just to have, because that was my comic. And he's like, nah, don't worry about it. He gave me about 20. No, he gave me about 15 of them. So I have them somewhere. And this here, this is from Jackknife. Remember I showed you the characters from Jackknife, Ion and Stiletto? Well, this was one of the other Jackknife characters right here. This was Metro, I believe. Zetarise Metro. He was a mix between, he was a Native American, but he was a mix between, what was it? He was a mix between Hawkeye and that kid from Dungeons and Dragons who shot energy bows. So yeah, or energy arrows with his bow, because he was like that. So he had this bow that, I mean, he was amazingly accurate with, but he was able to shoot energy arrows. And this was apparently an Amish guy from another planet, because I remember this particular, and I did tons of pages for this comic book. I don't know where those pages are. I think they got lost, and I just have to live with that. But I just did a lot of pages and and I mean, the art was terrible, but the joy that I got from doing those pages, amazing. I think that's as far back as I have right now. If you guys want to see more of my old art, please just let me know and I'll just dig in deeper into this file. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Before I wrap up, I'd like you to take a look right here, because I'd like to invite you guys to subscribe to my other channel, which is a lo-fi music channel. Music to chill to, music to do homework to, music to draw to and create art to, music to meditate to. Music like that has helped me quite a bit during this whole pandemic and facing a lot of different things that I did this year. And I'm now created a channel so that I can also help other people who are facing those things to just kind of, feel more relaxed and chilled. And subsequently, since I am drawninjakc, my new channel is called The Lo-Fi Ninja, because it features lo-fi music. So thank you in advance for subscribing. And I hope you guys enjoyed this crazy throwback video of my old artwork. My goodness. I really have changed as an artist since I began. It's amazing. Like, just looking back at this work, I can't believe how much I've changed. But that means there's a lot more changing to go, a lot better for me to get. So I'm always learning, and I'm always trying to teach other people, from my experience, how to become better artists. So thank you for watching. Thanks a lot for subscribing to my new channel in advance. Thank you so much. And I'll see you guys next time, man. You guys are the best, and I love every one of you guys. This is Draw Ninja Casey saying, see you next time. Wakanda forever.